Good morning and welcome to another edition of Fort Wayne Up Close. It is my pleasure to be sitting here by some gentlemen who was in the bullpen. We done pulled them out, we done dusted them off. So we can come out here, we can have a great discussion, and we can continue our follow-up of the Fair Housing series that has been conducted each Wednesday during Black History Month. Now, as we discussed last week, the topic of last night's discussion was called The Plan. And what exactly was the plan in Chicago? You think that, hey, that's just the title, but it actually was a plan that was utilized by the city of Chicago to do some things, under the pretense of beautifying the city, doing some redevelopment, adding transportation, reconfiguring some lakefront property. But in reality, the plan meant expelling African Americans from homes in those neighborhoods that they wanted to take over. So, hello, good morning. I'm your host, JJ Foster. My guests this evening are one and only Mr. Gralan Early.
How you doing? How you doing, peoples?
And Mr. James Scott, the man himself.
Mr. J.J. Foster. Thanks for having us, bro.
Hey, no, it's lovely. Our pleasure. Again, I appreciate you guys stepping in. And also, too, I want to give a shout out. Again, I appreciate Metro Human Relations for putting us on. Nikki Quintana, Fort Wayne Urban League, Aisha Arrington, City of Fort Wayne, Kelly Lindbergh and her department, and Midwest America and Tamisha Fikes for putting this on. So again, appreciate you guys for that, generating discussion and educating the community of Fort Wayne. Now, you guys, we kind of talked about the plan a little bit when I was briefing you on some of the things that went on. What were some of your thoughts that came about? What was first thing came to your mind when we talked about the plan?
Well, for me, it was just like, wow, we still continuing to do that, even kind of now and where we at today, in some areas and places outside of Chicago. And it's a little sad, still sad.
Yeah. This is amazing to me that we're in 2026 and we're still seeing like the redundancy of some things that have been going on for a long time. And I'm just curious today, man, especially to hear more about what you got out of going to the event yesterday, because I'm interested in learning, who are the people behind this? Who are the decision makings? And then when you was talking to us about it, I was looking up some things, and it says that, man, voluntarily or involuntarily, it specifically says that you will be displaced regardless one way or the other through gentrification or whatever that looks like. So, yeah, I want to dive into it. Let's go get
it. All right. And again, I got my stick here. Look, I got my notes on the trusty, handy dandy City of Fort Wayne notepads. So I got a lot of things, and you're right. We are going to dive right into it. But we hear terms like urban renewal, and that's exactly what we had going on, expelling blacks from white neighborhoods. And it's funny, you say, where did it start? Chicago actually had looked to Baltimore on how they were doing racial containment. And then it got to a point where Chicago came up with their own strategies and Baltimore was looking at them. So when you talk about shaping a nation for some of these policies and things, that's exactly what happened. How did they get away with these things? Because again, they literally would go in and tell black families, you have to leave. There was no choice, and it was by any means necessary. And there's a period, we'll get off into, there was bombings, there was clubbings and beating people that tried to stay. There were, stuff was put into place that talked about you couldn't rent to. So, people weren't allowed to rent or sell to blacks. So what Chicago did, the other thing, in their plan, they utilized neighborhood associations because there was a point there that, they said it was illegal, that, the things that people were trying to do. So Chicago came up. That's what kind of helped, or where Baltimore failed and where Chicago tweaked was put things in the hands of neighborhood association, and you had restricted covenants that we know, like you talk about, that kind of exists today. Another key component, what they did, you say, how did they get away with it? They played on the fears of the public. So like right now, if we relate it to modern day times, we know there's an algorithm, and everything out there on social media, a lot of people don't realize is geared toward you. They know your likes and whatnot. So back then there was no algorithm. Well, I guess there was an algorithm, but it just had to be social media.
It wasn't digital.
It was mainstream America. So when you talk about social Darwinism and, the survival of the fittest, or the large, the larger group is the one that's going to prevail, that's exactly what it was. So they had race hierarchies. When they talked about buying property, selling property, race hierarchies. And it's funny because I saw 2 different lists. And the first list had 10 different groups of minorities. We were at the bottom. The only group lower than us was Native Americans. Then I later saw one that they had hierarchy. And I think it was about 20 different classes. And Native Americans didn't even make the list. And there was only one group that was lower than us, and it was Mexicans. So when you talk about birth of a nation and, all these things that are out there that depicted African Americans post-Civil War is going to take over and going to rape and pillage, and, blacks took over the government, and the KKK had to ride in with the Klansman hats and, save the world. All these things people were looking at, and it's like, hey, yeah, this is good stuff. And then to add further emphasis to their point, Chicago held the World's Fair. At the World's Fair, they had Whiteville, literally a town that was showing innovation. Whitesville, they had all this stuff, development, transportation, all this stuff. But then you walk over and they had another display talking about people of color. And of course it was, people living in grass huts and things of that nature. So all these things, played to the fears of folks. And that's what kind of shaped it. I mean, what do you say? I'm up here doing a lot of talking. What do y'all say to some of that? I know you.
So the racial hierarchy, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, the racial hierarchy. So obviously whites are at the top. If you want to sell a home to somebody, you want to develop a neighborhood, white people are up here. It's going to be pristine. You're getting top dollar, all that stuff. Okay, and then it goes down, and they broke it down by that ethnicity. So again, by the time you get to blacks, this is literally, they're not going to take care of their properties. It's when you're talking economically speaking, it's a poor economic choice if you're going to sell them property. If you have expectations of them maintaining their properties, their homes, they're not somebody that you would want to sell to. There were literally, covenants, and again, where it's illegal to have race mixing in neighborhoods. It was looked at as inferior. Yeah, it's funny. Ain't it laughable?
It's laughable because it's unbelievable.
Correct.
And a lot of times when you talk to people that feel like racism is not an issue in the world, and people don't judge people by the color of their skins, or media doesn't paint a picture of one race different than the other. And certain people, as soon as you say it, the world's not like that anymore, or things like that don't happen anymore, or that was so long ago, we shouldn't even be thinking about that anymore. We should think different now. This shines light on the reality, because my personal experience, what I see here in Fort Wayne right now, me personally, I think we're in the middle of what you're explaining to me within reason right now here in Fort Wayne. And I'm loving what I'm learning right now. So your knowledge that you're sharing, man, is actually teaching me, or bringing light to the thoughts that I have in my head. So now you could be like an aha moment.
Yeah.
So this has been going on for a long time, man. So I'm anxious to get into a little deeper so I can understand, how do we position ourselves to begin to push back so we're not falling into these traps.
Yeah.
And I heard you talking before that in the banking institution right now, people are buying these homes in this, y'all call it a balloon or whatever it is, space. Prices are high. Things are up really high, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I don't know the terminology. I'm not into that stuff. But so I hear that there's a time where things are going to kind of revert back a little bit. Or y'all say it goes here, then it bubble bursts or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
That's what
things
people
shift
say.
back, right? So people have bought a house here, and then when the bubble bursts, they're upside down in the houses. And people are still being pushed into those spaces.
Gotcha. No, I'm hearing what you're saying. That's what happened the first round when we had the collapse. You know, right now a lot of people are saying that, but that's not the case. Right now, it's just mortgage rates have went down. People can afford their homes that they're in. Before, you could get a home with no assets and no income, and they were putting people in $500,000 homes, and you know that really couldn't afford it. So once that balloon payment, that's what you talking about, that final payment, when that hits, and you can't pay for it, that's when you have foreclosure and things, and that's what caused the market. You know, right now, no, it's just we're at a good place because of rates. When they drop 2% and 3%, now you know you can afford that home. I mean, that's a fixed rate. It's not going to change. See, and that's what they were putting people in arms, adjustable rates, and you know, so hey, we get you in this the first 5-6 years, first 10 years, and then after that, it jumps to a payment that you can't. So now, no, folks are in fixed rates. I think, you know, we're pretty much good. The biggest thing that we have right now is going to be affordability for folks, you know, which homes, because as I've said, sitting here, they're not building too many homes under $200,000. And if you look at the formula for what a debt to income is, you know, our average, let's take the south east side of Fort Wayne, for instance. If the average income is $27,000, you can't afford a $200,000 house, you know, unless you live with somebody, but just off a single income, it's not great work. The other thing is funny because when you talk about current practices, check this out. That hierarchy chart is also used for, you know, appraisals. And in appraisals, like right now, we know it's taboo and we're looking for things that we get people coming in there when they get to discriminate, but race was a determining factor in your appraisal. So honestly, if I give you that appraisal, you black, yeah, that's like, hey, that's a negative. So it literally was back then legally to say count being black in your appraisal and depreciating your property value.
So are we still experiencing that today?
Yes, we are. In certain instances, and I think you heard Tamisha had brought it up last week. You know, there's stories out there where you'll have, let's say, a couple or somebody, a homeowner of color, and they'll get an appraisal, and it's like, man, that seems a little bit low. So then they'll have a white friend or somebody. The next time they'll go back and they'll do an appraisal. They'll take down all their pictures and things and put up, you know, pictures of their friend who's Caucasian, and the value has went up. So you said it's still going on. Yes, it is still going on. And, you know, people are more vigilant and, you know, about it now. And there are, you know, things going on. But what you have to understand about this stuff, it was all legal. Think about that. It was legal. It's in the books. That's how we could talk about it, because you can go back and you can look, you know, the sign of the times. And that's what makes it scary. And the thing that I love and I think is so important to talk about is people don't know that story. And again, like I said, people drive through certain neighborhoods and they look and say, oh yeah, look at that. Them people don't know how to take care of their stuff. Oh, look at them. They uneducated. But when you use these tactics like they did, the redlining, where you can only live in certain areas, that's what people think. It's just redlining. Now, my shower moment this morning was, okay, let's say they did their redline people of color, put them in a certain area, but we had all the same resources, all the same amenities. That ain't a bad deal. That's cool, because you know what? People self-segregate. People want to, you know, they live with, who they're comfortable with. And if it's a nice neighborhood and I get people that look like me, that's a good thing. But that's not what was going on. We gonna redline. You're gonna put you over here in these neighborhoods that don't have the same resources, that don't have the same amenities, that have subservient, conditions. I talked about it last week. I learned there were literally in some of those neighborhoods, the garbage collection was only a month. And that was by the city. They say, yeah, we're going to pick up the garbage in those places 1 month, not 1 week, 1 month. So again,
in that certain area?
Just in that certain area.
But everybody else got it.
Everybody else weekly.
Every week.
Just like what everybody else got it weekly. But again, black belt areas, red light areas, whatever you want to call it. Hey, these places that we're gonna put you.
Wow.
We're gonna make sure that it's not gonna be taken care of.
The laws that are being, when you said that was legal, now was that like local laws, or is that coming from a federal level, or they all playing a part?
That's funny that you say that. Hey, it's at a local level that this stuff is happening, and that's why, they talk about Chicago being the poster child and shaping things that were going on nationally. But what they tell you, there's a lot of funding coming nationally. In watching that, some of these neighborhoods, they talked about universities giving money. Because I'm gonna check this out. I haven't even told you guys the area, but when I talk about lakefront, and you guys are both familiar with Chicago, right? What area would you think I'm talking about? It's popular in Chicago. It's off the lake. Obama lives there now. Hyde Park was there that African Americans lived there, that they came, and that's where they wanted to revitalize and beautify. Just like you said, they recognize the impact that it could have on their city. So, you hear the stories about Chicago being the most segregated, and again, they're giving you, a backdrop. But when I heard, universities kind of gave money because they wanted the area cleared out. There was some churches that gave money because, they were buying into the concept and wanted, areas that were developed and beautified, as they say. So
is economic development fueling these things? So like they see an area that's like underserved, underinvested in, disinvested in, and then all of a sudden light bulb comes on. We've developed over here, we've done over here, we've done over here, and then this becomes a target. And then is it by any means necessary now we need to begin to displace, gentrify, or whatever that looks like, to get people out of the way so that we can come in and do what we want to do?
Yeah, I think to answer your question, I think you might have gotten the formula for right now. That's how things are working. Back then, I think it just was, everybody, you got to remember, was developing. You coming on, how can we make our city great? And that's what they were doing. Black folks, you all heard of the Great Migration. They migrated to Chicago. So with Chicago, I think they said the population doubled to where you had 200,000 African Americans all in just this concentrated area. There was no new houses being built.
Right.
What options did they have? They would take apartments and just like rent out rooms. You literally take, a 4-bedroom apartment or something, and you divide it up, in about 8 different ways and whatnot. And they sublet. I know they talked about, they built, to your point, 30,000 to 40,000 new units, but one of them in them redlining areas, one of them in the black belt. So when you got 200,000 people just stacked on top of each other, what do you think is going to happen?
Chaos.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Chaos, a blighted area, which again, so, and it's funny, that just hit me because when they talk about, the plan, and when you want to beautify something, that's what you're doing. You're going into blighted areas and making them look good. So now think about what we just said. We done created a blighted area. So now down the road, to your point, hey, we want to beautify this. We want to, let's get another plan. Let's go in this blighted area that we created and displace some more people. So, I think it's a nice little cycle that's set up.
It's definitely real, man. We experienced this. So over here on the South Side, like, man, watching, when somebody that's in the inner circle and they get fed up with it, and then they decide to come have a sidebar conversation with you and share what they're hearing in the spaces that they're in. Man, we just experienced that, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Maybe 4 weeks ago? Like right here, bruh.
What?
Like guy that works within our community. He's an engineer. And so he's in rooms and he's hearing things. And man, he was so livid when he got done. He left right from a meeting with them to come talk to us, to share with us what he had heard and experienced. So It's real, and it exists today. And being a business owner, man, for 20 some years, the lack of that we've seen from the story that you tell him, man, it just shines light. So when you talk about what went on in Chicago, which was extremely intentional, and then those people that are in positions that are making these decisions, I don't know if it's hereditary, if it's passed down, or how it's done. And to me, what we see a lot of times in a lot of the positions is just my perspective.
Yeah.
That the people that are making the decisions, typically they'll be white people. Like, and I'm not saying all white people are bad, but for some reason, if you don't understand the plight of Black America, or you don't want to understand it or get sympathize or empathize with it because you just feel everybody has the same opportunity, everybody should have the knack to just do what needs to be done and have a better life and sustain that life. That ain't the reality of Black America. It just don't exist. There's been so much damage done. America could go into another country, bomb it, blow it up, but then they have the audacity to understand that we need to go back and help them redevelop.
Yeah.
You would come into the Black culture, bomb it, blow it up, hold it hostage, and then you'll never come back to reinvest in it to get it where it needs to be, where it can sustain and grow forward. We have never had the fair opportunity, this is my perspective, nor the fair shake to do what we as a people are capable of doing. So you could take an intelligent brother and you could break him or her, take everything away from them, and then expect them to rebuild themselves without the needed resources or the capacity to do it. Are we capable as a people? I truly believe that. But do we have the resources and the skill sets and everything that we need as far as the tools to do the things that we need to do to fix the damage that's been done to Black America? I don't think we have those things.
Yeah. Man, you know, you said it's powerful. And then the thing that still always amazes me, because like you said, we're not always given the resources after, things that have occurred. So when you think about ancestors that have made it and that have done it, in spite of, that's what always impresses me and what gives me my strength when I look back on stuff. Because, when you talk about, I get on young people today because, young people, we'll fold up at the first sign of something that ain't fair. It's like, man, I'm sure glad you ain't come before me. Think about it. You popping up because, somebody didn't let you get in the lunch line first and you're mad. But do you know what our folks, when you look at this stuff and you talk about mental toughness and just,
Some warriors.
I'm going to get it done, which is funny. So now brings us to, there's a gentleman, African-American, Jesse Binga, lived in Chicago. Jesse Binga was a brother that was a banker, started his own bank and own real estate company. So now, mind you, when they put these covenants in place, it's illegal to sell to African Americans in a certain neighborhood. Jesse Binga was selling to brothers he ain't give a dang. He was selling homes. And everybody knew what was up, what they was gonna get into. 40 families that he put in the homes, in the Hyde Park area, and whatnot. 40 homes was bombed. But you know what? Them people still continued to stay. They lived there. Only 2 families had moved away. The other thing that I left off, I forgot, is what came about was realtors. There was no realtors, right? It didn't exist. I want to say it was in 1912. Did I write it out? Yep, 1912. Realtors came about. And when you talk about the powers that be, so now I've got realtors, I got the buyer, I got the seller. All parties involved in this understand that you don't want any blacks in the neighborhood. We're going to dictate where they're going to go. You're going to send them over there. And also, when I heard that about the realtors being created, I think back to our very own, Rainey, the Realtors Association, which really is, NARAB is the National Association of Realtors Brokers. And it's funny because whenever I write out realtors, auto check always want to correct me. Or I tell somebody, you say realtors, or you mean realtor? No, I mean realtors. Blacks weren't allowed to be realtors. So they had to change it. They had to be realtors. and that's where that term comes from. But again, the powers that be put those mechanisms and those structures in there. But again, Banga was putting people in doing what he was going to do. The sad part about it, at what cost, and it, taking its toll on him, and on the families. But he hung steady. They put a memo, and funny, I'm watching, I'm like, dang, that is that where Malcolm X got his saying? But their thing was they was getting blacks out of white neighborhood by any means necessary. That's what they said, by any means necessary. But that's where they bombing somebody's home was nothing, was common occurrence. And they talked about you come home and somebody bombed your house, and now you don't know, you got your neighbors, everybody there that's helping. You don't know, hey, was they the ones that did it? Was they, think about that. You coming, I mean, who do I trust? And to your point, like you said, not all white people are bad. Yeah, they not. But again, if I'm amongst everybody, somebody who bombed my house, don't nobody know nothing in this neighborhood. It's just a heck of a way to have to live, man. And when you talk about, stress and things of that nature, and trying to raise a family, all just because of, where you want to live.
The trauma.
The trauma. There you go.
I mean, that kind of looks back. I mean, just historically, if you look back at the Tulsa and the Black Wall Street, it was for, influential. It had doctors, lawyers, great, community. And, one of the things that people don't talk about is that what kind of was a part of the bombing and everything was that the oil had ran up and the white community was suffering. They was looking up on the hill saying, how is this black community flourishing? And so that was a piece of why it was bombed and some other racial, pieces. But now you look at it, it's totally wiped off the map. Just like you said, it was blew them out. And now they had to scatter across, move everywhere else except, living in the community that they built. And then also they're bringing it back to more in Fort Wayne. I mean, there's still, places here on the southeast side of Fort Wayne that blacks couldn't move and live in. Some prominent people I know, African-American businessmen and who had the money to buy and purchase homes couldn't purchase it. They had to use someone white to purchase it for them.
Yeah, and then when they got in there, what happened?
Right.
So, because you're right, there's all kind of strategies, and that's my point. Because not only you can have somebody white purchase for you, there were some realtors that was like, hey, I mean, again, they get commissioned off this sale. Mm-hmm. I'm selling to who I want to sell to. You know what? Hey, now they're in the same eye, under the same scrutiny as you sold it to this black person. We could bomb their house, but you could feel his wrath too. So I mean, it was some tense stuff. I mean, it's a tough situation. Yeah. Hey, to your point about Tulsa, and I always bring this up. What's the movie with Ving Rhames? Rosewood. One of my favorite movies, right? One of my favorite parts of that whole movie, because really, Tulsa wasn't the only community that they came through. I mean, it's there's stuff out there, they show you different maps, but it's like, how come they don't get their own? Because when they got their own, folks looked over. So a lot of it was jealousy and the fact that everything they've been told is they're better than black people. So therefore, how could they have that and we not have that? So let's go tear their stuff up. But in Rosewood, my favorite part of that movie is they went in, they was looking for Don Cheadle's character. He used to get piano lessons. And he had a piano, nice piano. Man, they went in, they was looking for him, they busted into his house. It was Gary for they said, they said, what? This Ian Word got the audacity to have a piano? I ain't got a piano. Man, I said, you think about that for a minute. He got I ain't got one. How he got one? And that's the mentality. There's no way. You can't, no way. I'm not allowed him to be better than me.
Like the audacity of you, right?
Just nuts, man. But hey, this series has been great. I appreciate, like I said on here last time, I've rearranged stuff on my schedule to make it a point to get out there to go look at this thing. Because again, it's, to me, it's a reminder. It's a education, and like y'all say, y'all know we sit up and have all these type of discussions, and it's just, again, just something, retooling and a reminder. And I love it. Tamisha touched on it last week. They had about 75 people there the first night, and probably, I know they matched that number, if not more, the second part. But again, it wasn't a lot of folks that looked like us. And again, I keep reminding people, this is for everybody. And that's one thing I know this administration, they're trying to do away with Black History Month. Hey, everything is history. I agree with that. It is history, good or bad, And so we're trying to take it out. Let's teach, let's educate.
American history.
Let folks know how people got into this. They didn't just get onto it on its own. And as you guys touched on, there are things that is rearing its head now that, that folks are cool with trying to take us back there. Yeah. Or a lot of it we hit on is the economics. We look at it, you said, I don't know if it's passed on. I wanted to comment, it's passed on, that entrepreneurial spirit that, hey, that's an opportunity to make money. How can I get my hands on that? Let me go prey on them. The other day at our financial workshop, we talk about predatory lending and dealing with distressed people. So again, you got a property and, hey, I'm going to prey on this distressed person. Your house, I'm going to give you $50,000. And the thing that people doing now too is they're throwing up, hey, cash. I'm gonna give you cash. Yeah. And that, if I ain't got a lot, you gonna give me $50,000 in cash. Ooh, hey, I'm thinking I want to come up. Have no idea what this property is really worth. And again, the fact that he said cash. I had somebody approach me about my home. They kept telling me cash. And I asked the guy, I said, man, do I look like I'm on crack? And he looked at me, and he didn't know where I was going with it. I said, man, do I look like I'm on the run? And he was like, I said, why do you keep throwing up the word cash to me? Cash means nothing to me. I said, either you're going to give it to me, I'm going to get it from the bank. I don't care nothing. But it let me know, because here I am, I got some education, an understanding of things that he tell the next person that, they like, ooh, hey, I got X amount of cash. I ain't got to wait through the bank, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I'm like, hey, my credit is good. I'm going to go to the bank. If this is what you offer, I know what they're going to give me. So again, preying on folks, and it's tough. You guys got anything else you like to add, or something that came to mind? Because again, I worked through my notes. Y'all notice my stick. Hey, I love it though. I'm there, like I'm in college.
Sticky notes.
I'm in college.
I would definitely, like us to leave with some sense of encouragement today, not just for any one culture, but for humanity. People are humans. Everybody has problems. There's poverty in every culture. So I think, we need to be more compassionate, loving of each other. Those people that are in positions to make decisions, think about everybody. Don't just think about one side of town or the other. Let's be inclusive. I think we always hear in our circle, four corners strong in the city. Fort Wayne could be that roadmap for other cities, to follow. So I think our Southeast quadrant needs some attention. It's been underinvested in for a long time. I'm sending this message. I probably should be in this camera right here. But this message is just to our leadership in this city locally. Let's think about this entire city. Let's think about each quadrant of this city. I think this side of the city has been underinvested in so long. I don't think any other side of this city would be upset if you guys just took a little attention, and just say, hey, for the next whatever year, we're going to take all we can, and we're just going to try to help get things caught up over here in this Southeast quadrant, or whatever that would look like. But, I just would love to see us love on each other much more.
It's lovely. Gralan, you got it?
Well, he said it all on that one.
I would agree 100%. And, one of my mottos I've always said, a city is only as strong as its weakest community. And to James's point, why not build up our weakest community to where we're a model, we're an example to cities around the country? It could be done. I believe it. I know James believes, a lot of people. It can be done. We had the means, we had the intelligence. folks in the right positions to get things done. Let's just get it done. With that, the next series coming up, February 18th, 5:30 to 6:30 at the Allen County Library. A million in captivity. That's episode 3, A Million in Captivity. Again, and folks, we're doing this. I appreciate what they're doing. We are not affiliated with Metro Human Relations, Urban League, the city, or Midwest in any way, shape, or form. This is us. I go attend those meetings as a citizen, and I appreciate the topic. And what we do here at our Neutral Voices is like to provoke conversation and educate our community. That's what we're doing. So if anything, I'm here in partnership. And yes, we're promoting their event because it's a quality event. It's excellent information to give our people, our community, the knowledge that they need to be great. Until next time, I'm your host, JJ Foster, and I am ONV.
Peace.